The Cavs and Pistons face off tonight in Game 3 at 7 Eastern on ESPN. The Cavs have a 2-0 series lead, but now the series moves to Detroit. Stephen A., you are in Detroit. What do you expect to see tonight?
What I expect to see is an explosion from LeBron James. Again, I like Stanley Roberts a lot. I think he's got a very bright future, but he opened his mouth in a way that even Coach Stan Van Gundy admitted made him cringe a little bit. And I expect LeBron James to make him pay for it. Certainly, he might decide to be judicious and put up a triple-double, or he may just go berserk, Skip, and drop 40 to 50. But something is going to happen tonight for LeBron James to remind Stanley Roberts, I'm a 4-time league MVP and a 2-time champion.
Stanley Johnson.
Stanley Johnson.
It's all right.
Stanley Johnson, I'm sorry. I keep saying Stanley Johnson.
Yeah, we both covered Stanley Roberts once upon a time.
Stanley Johnson.
Yeah.
Not Stanley Roberts, LSU, Stanley Johnson for the Detroit Pistons. Yes.
Now, you're going to be at the game tonight?
I'm here. That's why I'm in Detroit.
Okay, I want to make sure because
I'm here.
I got to tell you, I agree with your premise. I agree LeBron is going to be primed for this one. I just like the guts and heart of this young Detroit team, especially at home. And you brought up the point the other day. You remember the heyday with all the build-up and the hubbub in that arena. It just could be explosive in there. I think Detroit's going to win this game tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win the series, obviously. I just like their spunk at home. I think they'll rise up and win one game in this series, and it's going to be, this is obviously the turning point game. I get what you're saying, though. It was not smart for what Stanley Johnson said.
I think they would have won tonight if Stanley Roberts had not opened his mouth. I think the fact that he did is different, and I think Stanley Johnson, I don't know why I keep saying Stanley Roberts, Stanley Johnson. But let me say this to you. If there was ever a moment, not that LeBron has much to prove, but when we talk about the old school guys, the Kobes, the LeBron, the Michael Jordans, and beyond, you remember when people used to chirp and just make a mere mention of these dudes, and they'd step out on the court and annihilate you? Could you imagine if Stanley Johnson had done this to one of those players?
Nope. It would be over, like, man.
So this is one of those moments where tonight LeBron needs to go at him like that.
Okay, well, you're going to have to walk into that arena tonight now, and all those Piston fans are going to say, Stephen A., you don't have our back anymore, right?
Well, I love Detroit. I think it's a great sports town. And I love Stan Van Gundy and the job that he's done.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean, and I like Reggie Jackson. I like Stanley Johnson.
So do I.
I like Andre Drummond.
But
I don't think you're good enough to beat LeBron if LeBron comes out there hell-bent on destroying you.
Okay. Detroit, I got your back. I got you
go ahead
tonight.
and do that.
All right.
I'm in the house. Ain't no way. I ain't worried about it.
All right.
I ain't worried about it. These are my peeps.
Yeah.
It's all love. It's all love.
All right.
Let's go to the other one here. After winning Game 1, the Pacers have lost 2 straight, including last night's 16-point loss at home in Game 3. Paul George struggled from 3 last night, making only 1 of his 8 shots. Stephen A., how much blame should George get for those losses?
I'm not going to give him but so much blame. He's a star. He showed up to play, but other guys have to show up to play. I'm looking at last night. Monte Ellis shooting 3 of 9 from the field, only scoring 7 points. George Hill only putting up 13. LaVoy Allen and other guys, what are they doing? I mean, the only guy that came to help him was Miles Turner. I'm not going to put that on Paul George. I think Paul George has had a great season. I think that he's somebody that's reminded the world of what a star he is, but he needs help. And other guys got to show up and do their job, especially against Toronto now that Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan seem to have gotten it going a little bit. They need to step up and help Paul George. He can't do it all by himself.
Okay, but after the Pacers convincingly won Game 1 at Toronto, you and I both said, that's it, Indiana's going to win this series. I think we both said in 6 games, right?
Yeah.
And the Pacers came up small in Game 2 and smaller at home in Game 3.
Right.
And I get what you say about Monte Ellis. I have no idea what this was. This was just nothing. I don't know what happened.
He didn't show up.
He didn't show up. But Paul George, we both agreed, is easily the best player on the floor. And DeMarre Carroll showed up for Toronto last night in Indianapolis because he was all over Paul George. I watched a lot of this game, and Paul George was just shut down last night. When he goes 1 for 8 from 3, that's going to be a problem. You're going to have a hard time. This game was over at halftime to me. Toronto came right out and took control, And this is an Indiana team that I try to like. I've tried to like them all year because any given night, they beat my Spurs in Indianapolis. I thought, boy, they look great in that game. But some nights, the whole team doesn't show up. So in this case, the whole team didn't show up. And now I don't think I'm picking the Pacers anymore to win this series.
I don't blame you for that, but I'm going to still stick with them for now. But I'm rooting for my man Dwayne Casey because I'm a fan. But I will tell you this, DeMarre Carroll was a huge pickup that they got in the offseason from Toronto for specifically this kind of purpose, to defend the likes of a Paul George. DeMarre Carroll can defend, and Paul George is going to have his work cut out for him. But it's real easier to defend him when no one else will show up. Yeah. When others show up to help him, you've got to change things a little bit. So the Monte Ellis of the world, the George Hills of the world, and others, they've got to show up and help. And Frank Vogel has got to figure out a way to free Paul George up a little bit more. So we've gone this whole show, and we failed to even bring up the San Antonio Spurs that do play tonight. At Memphis, they play, and nobody talks about it. What we failed to bring up?
No one does. Just America's
what we
team.
Failed to bring up, Skip?
Yeah.
My man Jake Arrieta for the Chicago Cubs pitching a no-hitter. That's what we failed to bring up.
We care about the Spurs more than that.
Well, I care about the no-hitter, too.
I care about Steph Curry finishing fourth and most improved.
Yeah, let's talk about everything.
We've got 5 seconds left.
I do have your back, San Antonio.
Oh, here we go.
You keep on doing that against Memphis.
Stephen,
what a risk. You're really going out there on a limb, Skip.
Real OKC.
Well, I think the real OKC is a combination of both to some degree. First of all, they'll never be as bad offensively as they were with Kevin Durant in Game 2. I told you all it was an aberration. This guy is a superstar. This guy is a scorer extraordinaire. This guy is a guy that career averages of 27, 7, and 6 on 48% shooting from the field and 38% shooting from three-point range. And by the way, he's a career 88% shooter from the free throw line, just to piggyback off of our points from the other day. You knew that Game 3, Kevin Durant was going to show out because Game 2 is an aberration. When he struggles to score like that, that is not something that's going to happen in back-to-back nights against with somebody as great as Kevin Durant is as a scorer. But the fluidity of their offense, how sometimes every shot they take appears to be so difficult. I'm going to sit here and say to you that what you saw last night is not indicative of what you will see from them all the time. Every game they'll do that, but it won't happen for 4 quarters. You'll see it for a quarter or a half, but you won't see it over the course of 48 minutes because they just go the difficult route. When all else fails, they trust nobody but Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Serge Ibaka had a decent game last night. Dion Waiters hit 4 3-pointers. Enes Kanter had 21 points off the bench. They shot 15 of 27 from three-point range. Even Serge Ibaka hit both of his three-point shots. So when they're shooting the basketball like that, they're pretty close to unstoppable. We understand that. But no matter what the circumstances are, I think what you saw last night from Kevin Durant, you can rely upon on most nights. But I think what you saw from their offense, it ebbs and flows. They're somewhere in the middle. You won't remember this, but I predicted that Durant and Westbrook last night would combine to score 70 points. Yes, you did. And I was a little high. They combined to score 60. And as much credit as I gave to Charlie V, right? Charlie Villanueva, Miss UConn, Miss Connecticut's buddy from, UConn days. I blame him for his video blog that he posted that really seemed to infuriate and motivate the Mavericks last night because both Durant and Westbrook came out on classic missions and won. After dancing, Skip. After dancing. Don't forget that. They did it. Yeah, you mean the pregame. They went in and did their routine. Yep, they did it. And big bad Charlie V, he walked down there, but you know, they did it down by their own bench, so he couldn't really do anything about it. And all that happened last night was that Durant scored 20 in the first half, and then Westbrook scored 20 in the second half. You know what? That's just too good because I watched this game from start to finish, and I thought Dallas actually played pretty well last night. And in surges and spurts, they made little runs at Oklahoma City, and especially in the third quarter, they made a big run. And I got to give Russell Westbrook credit, man.
He just flat out said, no, not in your house. It wasn't in his house. It was in your house. Not in your house are you going to do this to us. And he hit 2 big momentum-busting threes. I thought he was special in the second half. Russell Westbrook just playing as an offensive force. He was special. Well, you know and I know, on any given night, if those two can get in that kind of a groove, they're just pretty much, they're unbeatable. When they make 15 of 27 threes, that's Golden State-esque for these guys because they don't always or often do that. And it was just too good. Dallas couldn't control the tempo. They couldn't control the momentum. And once the dam broke, they just drowned under the tempo that Oklahoma City can create when you let them run wild on you. And this was a run wild game. And I'm going to say again, to piggyback your point, Enes Kanter, I keep saying this all year, if you go on player efficiency rating, which is a very telling stat, thanks to John Hollinger, top 10, Enes Kanter is 10th in the league. So that means Oklahoma City has 3 of the top 10 players in PER, obviously Durant and Westbrook, but 10th. And then last night, he, as you say, comes off the bench and plays, what, 20, let's call it 22 minutes, and he goes for 21 and 8. Wow. I mean, that's just too good. So you've got, now it's a 3-headed monster, including the guy coming off the bench. Well, if they can do that every night, I give them a real shot to beat Golden State. The point is, they can be wildly inconsistent. They get their pride challenged, and they bounce back and throw haymakers on the basketball court. And then they'll put it on cruise control, and maybe they'll blow a game. So I don't know. The real Mavericks, to me, are the ones who have trouble holding those fourth-quarter leads from night to night to night.
You talk about the real Thunder, not the real Mavericks.
I'm sorry, the real Thunder. Yes, the real Thunder, they struggle in close late games to close deals. That's the team I've seen all year, and that's the team that I'm looking forward to my Spurs playing next round.
Well, I got to tell you, listen, I think from a talent perspective, everybody knows that the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best match to go up against the Golden State Warriors in terms of talent.
Yep, I agree.
Not coaching, not schemes, not style of play, but in terms of talent.
I'm with you.
And I just think that when you look at it from that perspective, listen, I can't sleep on Oklahoma City and what they can bring to the table. I know they're a threat, but I lost you. I'm sorry.
You lost. We're right here. Can you hear me?
You got us? All right. Anyway, Game 4, Dallas, is Saturday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN. You can also watch it on the ESPN app if you are out and about. Coming up next, LeBron and the Cavs look to take a 3-0 lead over the Pistons tonight. We'll tell you if they'll do that after the break.